Hi all, I'm new here. I'm posting about this because I was hoping someone in this community would be able to help me explain what exactly happened earlier today. So, some background info. My dad owns some land in eastern Kentucky where I frequently hike and hang out in the woods on my own. Currently, the trails that we use are overgrown with many trees down on the ground, so we can't take our ATVs up the mountain, and neither can anyone else. Surrounding the property is 4,000 acres of logging property and an old train tunnel that nobody really goes near. Sometimes our neighbors will walk our trails, but they only do it with their dogs or take up their own ATVs, and typically only go at night to coon hunt or whenever we aren't there, mainly because they know we don't condone them being on our property. Today, I decided to go do some homework out near the creek which runs through the main holler, which is a normal occurrence for me. This time, I decided to go much further into the woods than I typically do, just because I wanted to explore them a bit more. Knowing the property, there was a trail above my head up the mountain about 100 feet that was overgrown that nobody could have gotten to on foot. Well, not without a lot of work at least. I was hanging out as I usually do, and I had been out in the woods for maybe an hour and a half at this point, and it was around 5 p.m. Being summertime, the holler was still lit up enough that I was comfortable out there. However, it had gotten quiet, and I suddenly heard a man yell,
"Hey."
Almost like he was trying to get my attention. The yell was very casual and conversational, and it sounded almost like when my dad yells, "Hey," at me. As soon as I heard it, I knew it was coming from the trail above my head, and I also knew I didn't hear anyone walking around, any tree limbs snapping, of which there were a bunch on the ground up there, or any leaves rustling. I immediately got out of my hammock, packed up my stuff, and started back to my car and out of the woods. I didn't hear another hey or anything else. I got to my car and made it home and told my dad about what happened. He tried to explain it, saying that it could have been a neighbor, but we realized that it wasn't very likely even if it was a neighbor, because I had never met any of them, and why would they try to get my attention if they didn't know me and knew they weren't supposed to be on our property? That's when he told me that he had also heard something unexplainable out in that holler by himself. He said that early one morning when he was clearing the trails, he heard a shriek that put chills down his spine. Growing up in the woods, he knows the sounds that foxes, bobcats, etc. make, and it wasn't something that he'd ever heard before. He also mentioned that upon talking to the locals about the property when he first bought it, they all called the holler that I was in the Devil's Den. But we haven't gotten the chance to ask why yet. If anybody knows what might be out there and how to defend myself, please, I'm all ears. Also, if you have any questions about anything, ask away, and I'll do my best to answer. Thanks, y'all.